A 3-year-old in Sweden hops onto a city bus alone, while American parents debate letting kids play in the backyard unsupervised. Swedish toddlers gain real-world independence 3 years sooner than their peers. This is not luck. It is a national system built on radical trust, decades-old policies, and ideas many outsiders consider risky. What did Sweden change that other countries still resist? And why do so few realize what is at stake for their children's futures? In the late 1960s, a quiet revolution swept through Swedish homes. Parents, inspired by a growing belief in equality and democracy, began to question the old ways, leaving behind the strict top-down authority that had ruled family life for generations. They started to see children as full citizens, deserving of respect, agency, and protection from harm. This was not just a cultural mood. By 1979, Sweden became the first country in the world to ban all forms of corporal punishment. The law's language was clear. Children, too, deserve equal protection from violence. Parliamentary debates echoed with voices insisting that a child's right to safety was as fundamental as an adult's. The push came from a broad coalition of social democrats, child psychologists, and activists who argued that a society built on fairness must begin at home. Karin Söder, a leading member of parliament, spoke of a future where children would grow up free from fear, able to express themselves without threat. But this transformation did not happen overnight. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, Swedish families gradually abandoned spanking and harsh discipline, not by government edict, but through a shared sense that the world was changing. Studies from the era show parents shifting toward dialogue, negotiation, and shared decision-making. The idea was simple. If democracy works in society, why not in the living room? At the heart of this new approach stood the concept of lagom. Not too much, not too little, but just right. Swedish parents embraced moderation, balancing guidance with freedom, warmth with boundaries. Children were no longer seen as projects to be perfected, but as beings with their own voices and rights. Preschools too began to reflect this philosophy, treating children as both being and becoming. The goal was not to mold obedient subjects, but to nurture independent, resilient individuals ready to participate in a democratic world. This cultural foundation set the stage for sweeping reforms that would soon follow. Policies designed to support families, encourage autonomy, and embed these egalitarian values deep into the fabric of Swedish childhood. A Swedish parent stands at the threshold of a government-subsidized preschool, handing over their 1-year-old for a full day of play. This moment is made possible by a national policy few countries can match: 480 days of paid parental leave shared between both parents, with at least 90 days reserved for each. For well over a year, new mothers and fathers are able to stay home, bond, and gradually introduce their children to the wider world. When it is time, nearly every child, more than 80% of those aged 1 to 5, attends a municipally run preschool. Fees are capped at just a few percent of household income, and the doors open early and close late to fit around the workday. Inside, the curriculum is shaped by the principle that children learn best through play. There are no flashcards or handwriting drills. Instead, children are encouraged to explore, cooperate, and solve problems together. The days move to the rhythm of unstructured activities like painting, sand play, storytelling, and group games. Teachers, nearly all trained professionals, act as guides rather than directors. Outdoor time is non-negotiable. The Swedish motto that there is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes, comes to life as children bundle up for daily adventures, whether it is a stroll through the woods or a nap in a pram parked outside. While some preschools in neighboring Nordic countries require outdoor naps, in Sweden the practice varies, but fresh air and nature are a daily guarantee. Even in the heart of winter, playgrounds fill with children clambering over snowbanks and digging in the slush. Academic instruction is deliberately delayed. Compulsory schooling does not begin until the year a child turns 7. Until then, the focus remains on social skills, emotional awareness, and independence. At age 6, children attend a mandatory preschool class that bridges the gap between free play and formal education, still without grades or tests. This system is not just a safety net, it is a launch pad. Universal preschool access, generous leave, and and an outdoor culture combine to give Swedish children a head start in self-reliance. The policies are woven into daily life, quietly supporting families as they raise children who are expected to try, fail, and try again on their own terms. A 7-year-old in Stockholm steps onto a city bus, backpack slung over one shoulder, heading to school alone. In Sweden, this is routine. By age 7, children are expected to manage their own commute, keep track of their belongings, and navigate the city's public spaces. Parents watch from a distance, trusting that their children are ready for these responsibilities. There's no rush to intervene if a glove is forgotten or a bus stop is missed. Mistakes are part of the learning process. This early autonomy is not just a cultural quirk. It is supported by years of research and a close look at the numbers. Swedish accident rates for young children are lower than in the United States, even as kids move about more freely. For ages 3 to 10, pedestrian accident rates in Sweden average 2.1 to 3.5 per 1,000 children, compared to 4.8 to 5.2 per 1,000 in the United States. Public transport incidents among Swedish children remain extremely rare, with 0.8 events per 10,000 trips for ages 7 to 10. The data tells a clear story. Giving children independence does not put them in greater danger. Experts back this up. Martin Forster, a clinical psychologist at Karolinska Institutet, points to a wealth of evidence showing that a democratic parenting style, one that values children's voices and encourages self-direction, leads to better outcomes everywhere it is studied. Linda Akesson McGurk, author and advocate for nature-based play, notes that Swedish children develop calm alertness and strong decision-making skills through unstructured outdoor experiences. When children are trusted with real responsibility, they rise to the occasion. They learn to solve problems, manage setbacks, and build resilience, skills that serve them for life. The Swedish model demonstrates that competence grows from practice, not protection. Independence is not a gamble, but a proven path to capability. Interest in Swedish parenting has spread far beyond Scandinavia. In cities from London to Los Angeles, parents gather in parks and playgrounds, swapping stories about play-based preschools and the promise of greater childhood freedom. The so-called Nordic parenting movement has taken root in blogs, books, and parent forums, fueled by a growing frustration with high-pressure, achievement-focused childhoods. American and British families, searching for alternatives to expensive, academically driven daycare, look to Sweden's model of capped fees and universal access. Yet, even as the idea gains fans, the reality of importing these systems is complex. Sweden's preschool funding structure is often cited as the gold standard. Municipal programs are open to nearly every child, with fees never exceeding 3% of household income for the first child and dropping further for siblings. This approach has inspired calls for similar models elsewhere, but few countries have managed to replicate the combination of public investment and broad political will. In the USA and UK, pilot projects for outdoor playgroups and forest schools have begun to appear, often run by parents themselves, meeting in public parks, sharing weatherproof gear, and agreeing on loose boundaries for supervised roaming. These initiatives echo the Swedish principle that nature and risk are not enemies of childhood, but essential ingredients. Policymakers in other countries have taken notice. Reports from local governments in cities like Edinburgh and San Francisco mention Sweden's preschool fee caps and curriculum as an aspirational benchmark, even as they struggle with funding gaps and regulatory hurdles. The conversation has shifted. What was once seen as an outlier is now a point of comparison. As more families seek ways to nurture independence without sacrificing safety, the Swedish experiment has become a touchstone for debates about what childhood can and should look like in the modern world. Right now, childhood independence divides nations more than it unites them. As anxiety about safety rises, the Swedish model stands as proof. Trust, backed by support and structure, builds capability. The real risk isn't letting go. The real risk is holding on so tightly that our children never learn what they can do. What would you risk for their confidence?